Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be talking designing a luxury home on a budget. So you have a budget, I have a budget, we all have a budget. Not everybody has a budget, but most of us do, right? And that's a good thing because I think sometimes really great design sensibilities come from restraint. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can have the biggest budget in the world, but still pick tacky, ugly things. Please see all my rich people decor that need to go videos that I've done on this channel, right? Like it's not necessarily a bad thing to be on a budget. I think it's a really great thing. And some of the tips that I have in this video are actually free, things that you can already do in your own home or that are not crazy, stupid expensive. So let's get going. Okay, so first up on my list is going to be to create vignettes. So I've talked about vignettes once, I think, before on this channel, but honestly, I don't talk about them enough. And I think it was really important for it to go in this video. So what is a vignette? A vignette is a gorgeous, cohesive, harmonious, beautiful sort of space in your home that is curated and designed for that specific space. So oftentimes people will go into a room, they will take their couch in the corner, they'll put whatever, and they sort of fail to create these sort of moments in their space. It could be something like a tablescape, it could be on your coffee table, it could be on your media console. It could be a little sort of space, maybe around a bar cabinet or around a bed or around a dining area, right? Where you actually just take a moment and you look at sort of a little area of your home and how you can sort of design something that is coordinated and proportional to that specific space. So this is sort of that curated arrangement of sort of decor pieces or just really special moments to sort of create something that kind of tells a little bit of a story, right? Whether that's going to be specific sort of color or a mood or some sort of like design style or something that really represents what you're trying to create in your space, right? So instead of just walking in and feeling overwhelmed with an entire room, start to think of like specific focal points that you have in your room and then designing around that. So it could be something like a media console. And then think of how you can use decorative objects, items that you love, things that really speak to you, and coordinate them in such a way that it really tells the story of that focal point. And it will do you a lot of good in sort of creating the entire story for the whole space. So find these moments. Again, it could be something like a bathroom vanity. It could be in front of a bed, right? Where you actually think of the art that's above it, the decorative side tables that are next to it, the sconces that are above it, the linens that you have on the bed, all sort of working together to sort of really tell a coordinated story, rather than walking in, putting a bed, a desk, and then calling it a day. And again, this doesn't necessarily cost you any money because my bet is that you've got a lot of decorative objects and things that you already love in your home already. It's just about arranging them in a way that sort of tells a story. I'm showing lots of like pictures in this video, which I always do on my channel because I do think it serves as a really great like inspirational jumping off point for people. Like think of how this is working as a camera lens and sort of in a weird way, think of that when you're going around your space, right? Think like a camera lens rather than just necessarily walking into a room and sort of seeing everything around you, because sometimes I think that can feel really overwhelming. But when you're looking at it through the lens of a camera, it becomes sort of a snapshot moment, and you can create those moments in your home, and it'll do such an amazing job at making a space feel really special. So taking something like your coffee table, rather than just plunking down a coffee table and putting your remote and all your assorted crap on there, think of like, okay, is there a way that I can lay a tray, some fresh flowers, maybe a decorative object of some sort, right? To be able to display it in such a way that is balanced on the coffee table. So you have different sort of pieces of equal visual weight around the coffee table, different varying heights, and just like create that little bit of a moment. It'll go a long way to making your space feel more curated and luxurious. And again, my guess is you have a lot of this stuff already at home, so it doesn't have to cost you anything. Okay, and then next thing that I will say about creating a luxurious home on a budget is going to be invest in pieces that you interact with often. So often, I think people get stuck on the fact that in order for a place to look really good or luxurious or whatever, it needs, like everything needs to be expensive, everything needs to be gorgeous and beautiful and high quality. And the truth is that if we're designing on a budget, it's not probably necessarily gonna be possible for everything to be high end. Again, money's no object, fabulous. Then why are we having this conversation? You're the one that clicked on the video, not me. Do you know what I mean? Like then why are you here? But if you have a little bit of a budget, which is fine, I think most of us do, like let's be real, then how do you invest in pieces? Where do you choose to allocate? And I personally would say prioritizing the pieces that you interact with every day, and take a thought for a second about where you actually interact with. Like if you're a person that does a certain, activity necessarily every day, let's say you've got like a favorite couch or you've got a favorite side chair or something, or maybe your mattress, right? Because you're there every night or whatever. Take these moments to sort of invest in those pieces that you use all the time, because those pieces, the ones that you use and the ones that you see and interact with, are going to be the ones that make your space feel more luxurious. And if you're also being mindful of your family and your guests and people that are interacting with your home, that also makes a lot of sense too, right? Things like door handles, things like light switches, things like faucets, those sorts of things you are actually interacting with on a daily basis. Hopefully you're washing your hands every day. So you're using those pieces all the time. Things like your bathroom linens, right? You're using that stuff all the time. So invest in quality pieces that you are going to actually that are going to feel great and they're going to look great. And when you use them, they're going to be a joy to use. And because you're using them every day, it's going to feel like that everyday luxury. Now, those other pieces, maybe those case goods, right? Maybe you're not interacting with them all that often. Maybe they provide some sort of visual interest. They serve a practical purpose, maybe your storage basket, something like that. Those sorts of things, if you want to buy high end, go for it. If you want to buy some sort of like amazing, marble tray or something from CB2 and you want to just stuff that into your media console because you like it, go for it. But if you don't interact with it every day, why bother? This is definitely an area where you can save on money, in my opinion. You can definitely cut costs by investing in sort of quality, sure, pieces, but are maybe a little bit cheaper or different materials. So maybe you don't need that shelving unit or whatever made of solid oak. Maybe that can be veneered, or maybe that can be MDF, or it can be whatever, because you know what? We love those IKEA organizers for a reason, right? That type of stuff doesn't necessarily need to be super high-end with high-end materials and everything custom, but those areas of the home that you interact with all the time, those door handles, those doors, those light switches, whatever, all that stuff, you interact with it all the time. And if you invest in quality pieces there, your home will instantly feel more upgraded. So like I mentioned, you want to invest in decor and home items that you interact with daily. Those are the pieces that really stand out and you really, really want to make sure are high quality. That's why I'm happy to talk about Brooklinen, who is the sponsor of today's video. You spend every night in your sheets. So you want to make sure that they're of the highest quality and they're also visually stunning as well and reflect a little bit of your personality too. I find that the bedroom is a really important space for me to relax each evening so I can wake up feeling re-energized the next morning. I really love putting together sort of a cozying and inviting space for Sophie and I to relax every evening while we sit and watch YouTube videos before I fall asleep, which I'm sure many of you do too as well. In my current rotation, I've been loving the charcoal chambray and the white stripe set. Those have been the ones I've been going to. I like switching up my sheets, but I really love to stick with Brooklinen's wash linen hardcore bundles because they're the most luxurious to me. I'm a full convert on the wash linen in my opinion. Okay, so if you're ready to invest in your rest, then click on the link in the description for 15% off your first Brooklinen order. Thanks Brooklinen for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to our next way that you can make your space feel luxurious on a budget. Okay, next tip I have for you for luxurious on a budget is gonna be less is more, okay? Now I'm not saying you all have to be a minimalist. I'm not saying you have to be a minimalist. Maybe you're a maximalist, maybe you love all the colorful things and you want all the bright pink walls and that's all fun. Or maybe you're just a person that just likes a lot of stuff. I'm not saying you need to get rid of all your stuff. Although if you want to get rid of all your stuff, that might be a good idea if you have too much crap lying around. But I would say that less generally is more. So rather than, like personally for me, I would rather invest in one really high quality piece than I would 10 not great quality pieces that are just going to sort of be filling my home. My personal preference. I would rather save up the money and buy something that I know I'm going to really enjoy, that the materials are really great, especially if it's decor and stuff that is going to last you for years. Invest in stuff that's in your style, invest in stuff that you've liked for years, right? Like if you've liked certain materials, certain species of wood, certain stones, certain wood design style, certain whatever color, if you've loved that for a long time, chances are it's going to be fairly timeless for you. And yes, styles and preferences will change because whether we like it or not, we are impacted by trends. But for the most part, what's timeless for you, things you loved years ago are things you're going to love in the future. Those are pieces that are like, okay, I'm going to invest in some quality there because this is something that I'm going to interact with all the time. That is way better, in my opinion, than doing like a home goods haul. I used to get on until I sort of came out as a home goods sort of hater a little bit on YouTube, which I have done. People used to say, why don't you do home goods hauls? That's what people said when I first started my YouTube. And I was like, that's not me, because I'm not going to go and take a shopping cart to Home Goods and pile in 40 pounds of crap that I'm honestly, it's just going to end up in a landfill and I'm not going to enjoy because it doesn't look great, it doesn't feel great, I'm gonna get sick of it really quickly and it's gonna end up in that landfill. So yes, I would say less is more when it comes to buying quality pieces. Less often is better, 1,000 times better than low quality pieces that you're constantly refreshing all the time. But now of course that doesn't mean that you're a sucker and you pay extremely exorbitant prices for things that you honestly are just like overhyped, like an Hermes throw. Like that's not what I'm advocating. I'm talking about real quality, looking into the materials, looking into the construction. That is what I'm really talking about here, not just paying paying for a stupid logo. That's not what I mean. But investing in those quality pieces makes sense. Building on that, I would also say, you know, hiding your clutter. So I am a very strong advocate for closed door cabinetry. If you think that is going to make sense for you and you're not going to forget where all your stuff is, then I would say that it's a good idea to store some of those ugly things that we all have that we don't particularly like. If you can store them behind closed cabinetry, that's a fabulous thing because it seals it off and it's magic because people don't have to look at it and you don't have to look at it every day. It will instantly make your space feel more luxurious because all of those quality pieces we talked about will stand out a lot more when they're not just hiding amongst a bunch of other garbage that you probably either need to hide because it's ugly or potentially get rid of. And that's the other thing is get rid of your clutter. If you have a bunch of stuff that you don't like, maybe it's time to do some spring cleaning. Maybe it's time to go on the Facebook Marketplace and gift that in exchange for money to somebody else and they can go and enjoy it in their future because you don't need it anymore. So I would say get rid of all your old stuff you don't need, hide the stuff you do need that's not really great, and invest in quality pieces that will actually last you a very long time. Instantly, if you do all those things, your space will feel more luxurious. It won't cost you as much as a home goods haul, I can tell you that. Okay, and then next up is going to be to add in texture. So people talk a lot about color and they talk about like what colors are really luxurious and whatever, and it's like, oh, is it navy? Is it bright colors? Is it, you know what? Texture, in my opinion, goes a long way to making a space feel more visually interesting, despite color, despite design style, despite all those things. And the reason I said here, yes, of course, luxury materials are going to make your space feel luxury. So yes, if you've got marble things and solid oak and you go and spend a $15,000 dining table made out of solid walnut, fabulous. Obviously, that's going to make your space feel luxurious because duh, it's a luxury item that is handcrafted by some skilled artisan. So obviously, but that's not what this video is. This is skilled on a budget. This is on a budget, right? And so yes, those high quality materials will go a long way to make your space feel luxurious. Fabulous. Of course it will. But let's also remember that texture is pretty price agnostic. I would say. There's a lot of really amazing textural items that are also really just not that expensive, right? So if you don't know what texture is really just like, it's the visual interest that you can provide by sort of like the tactile feeling of something, right? So we all know that when you touch marble countertops, we know it's gonna feel cold, we know it's gonna feel smooth, assuming it's like a honed or a polished finish, right? We know what that's gonna feel like. It feels like we know what it feels like just by looking at it. At the same time, if we have something like a cotton throw or you have something like a linen throw, that's gonna feel really soft, right? Those Brooklinen sheets that I talked about, those linen sheets that I am loving that I talked about earlier, it just feels visually interesting because we can tell what that would feel like by looking at it. Do you know what I mean? So I would say for you, looking at different textural plays that you can do in your space. So rather than just always focusing on luxury materials, because this is where a mistake a lot of people make, right? They go in and they just do like the all marble bathroom, which designers love. I'm sorry, interior designers. I know a lot of you watch me and I get it. I get it. I love you. I love that you're here. I respect the work that you do. The marble coffin, in my opinion, which is what I call it, where the ceiling, like everything's marble tiled, or porcelain look-alike marble tiles that are like all over the bathrooms. I get where you're going. It just feels a little uninspired to me because it just feels a little bit safe and easy because obviously you throw marble on every surface and it's going to feel luxurious. That for me feels a bit Russian oligarch, but that's another story. I would say though that you can create an equally, in my opinion, way more beautiful space than a marble coffin simply by adding in beautiful linens and simply by adding in maybe some textural wallpaper, something like a grass cloth, right? Maybe you've got like a smooth surface, you've got like a marble or you've got laminate or something in the countertop or whatever, right? You've got a gorgeous rug on the floor. You've got all these different textural plays that are all being added to create a space that feels interesting. Now, of course, you can use design style and color and shape and all those other things to make a space feel interesting, but texture goes a long way. And again, usually not that expensive. Getting new linens or whatever, you know, yes, it's expensive, but not as expensive as a marble sarcophagus. Okay, but speaking of color, I am going to say my next piece of advice here, and you don't have to take any of this. By the way, if you're new to my channel, like you don't have to listen to any of this. Like you clicked in the video, it's up to you. You don't have to take it. You can leave all of the, you can just hear for the lols and move on. You don't need to do any of this. But I would say consider an unexpected color. So here's the thing, I love white and I love the neutrals as much as the next guy, okay? I don't always love everything white and everything gray, and you're looking at my background and thinking, it's not like this guy loves a lot of color. Again, I'm a hypocrite. If you're new to the channel, hello, welcome. Do as I say, not as I do all the time. Like I love interesting color, even if I don't always love it myself. But I will say that an unexpected color does feel intentional in a way that white, gray, beige, and black do not. Maybe black. Black's a bit unexpected, but for the most part, if you're choosing white, if you're choosing that nicotine beige that you know I don't care for, if you're choosing gray, everything, those are fine neutrals. They're great. I'm not anti-neutral. I love neutrals. I just think that sometimes when everything is completely neutral, it can read as flat. Again, texture plays a huge part in making that style more interesting in my opinion, but I would say that if you choose an unexpected color, which you don't have to take, you don't have to do it, but consider, it does make a space, I think, feel more luxurious. If you choose a beautiful color, especially one a little bit more desaturated or a little bit darker, so again, I'm gonna talk my color wheel. So if you add white, black, or gray to any primary hue, you can either make it like a lightly tinted color if you add white, and it's gonna be much softer, or you can make it really dark and mysterious and moody if you start adding black, or it's just gonna come across as really dusty or desaturated if you add in gray. You're gonna take those colors and it's gonna feel, in my opinion, a lot more intentional because people don't choose it. So if you walk into somebody's home and they've got a terracotta bathroom, if it's done well, so if you took the rest of my advice and you got texture and you created those vignettes and you did all those things, it can be stunning in a way that a white bathroom is just always, because we've seen it before, it's always going to read as a little bit more plain, a little bit more builder, a little bit more, even, you know, obviously, if you choose a white bathroom, you can absolutely make it luxurious using all the other tips I provided. But if you are looking at doing an unexpected color, it will go a long way to create a lot more interest and intrigue. And it just feels a little bit more kind of designer, like put together. Like who designed this terracotta bathroom? You did, you know what I mean? Because it's unexpected and interesting. And so I always feel like big, bold, sort of unexpected color does make a space, if it's done well, does make a space feel luxurious and interesting. And again, you know, doing it on a budget, white towels are pretty much the same as terracotta towels. So, you know, white paint, pretty much the same color as terracotta paint. So it doesn't really, it's basically the same price as working with a white bathroom. Now, of course, if you already have a white bathroom and you're changing it to something like a navy bathroom, obviously that's gonna cost you some money. These things are not that different in price. You just have to be brave. Okay, and then my final tip is going to be my lighting tip, because you know me, I have to talk about lighting every time, and that is different lighting sources in a space. I'm gonna be quick, okay, unexpected lighting sources. So here's the deal. The one light in the center of the room is not really going to do you any favors in terms of making a space feel really luxurious. Sometimes if you listen to nothing that I said in this video and you just turn that big light off in the center of the room or put it on a dimmer so that it does a little bit of a job there, it's providing some sort of ambient light, but it's not doing all the heavy lifting. If you add in a floor lamp, if you add in some table lamps, if you add in some accent lighting, if you add in some like recessed lighting, you know, above your windows or something, or you maybe do some sconces, right? If you do those things and you put them all in dimmers and you put a little bit of some warmer lighting in there, right away, you know, that and decluttering, boom, you're kind of in business. You know what I mean? Like that on its own will make a space feel more luxurious and more interesting, because without light, there is nothing, which sounds really existential, but really it's like, yes, you can pick the greatest materials in the world. You can have beautiful colors, but if you got all the lights off, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. It's all about how it is lit. I look awful without this lighting that I have here on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like lighting is everything. You can make someone look really good or really not good with lighting. Lighting matters a lot. And so I think that changing your lighting pattern to be able to incorporate different sort of lighting sources throughout the space, so you don't just chuck all the lights in one corner, but maybe you've got that little vignette where you've got a little side chair and you have a little reading nook with maybe, oh, look, I'm imagining it. You got a plant behind you. Maybe you got like a floor lamp over top. So while you're reading your book, you've got this gorgeous little lighting that is also providing, that is task lighting, that is also assisting you in the task of reading. Look how it's all coming together. Do you know what I mean? You're creating a vignette, you're creating a mood, you're creating a moment, and you're using lighting to do it. It's almost like all these tips work together, you guys, to help you out. So, I mean, I just think different lighting goes a long way. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna throw here to a video on how to make your bedroom look expensive, because we talked a lot about different rooms in this space, but I really wanted to talk about how to make a bedroom specifically feel really luxurious and expensive. So if you like this video, you'll probably like that one too, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.